Hello and welcome to the Bot Box. Well, it's time to talk about Big Nipper, grey box robot armed with a set of horizontal crushing jaws attached to a lifter. Making its debut in Series 5 Heat K of Robot Wars, the Jaw Gods weren't kind to Big Nipper. In their first ever fight, they drew 4th seeded Crusher Razor. Talk about the baptism of fire. Big Nipper managed to get off to a good start right away, taking out part of Razor's Self-Righter with their very first grab. Not bad. Not bad. Big Nipper got away, but Razor caught them and put a hole in Big Nipper. Razor likes boxy robots, you see, easier to crush. So, Big Nipper gained another hole and got lifted before getting cooked on the flame pit. Then Razor dropped Big Nipper on the flame pit and it got away. Alas, it didn't last long, the getting away part, and it gained another hole right near the weapon. It also had a bent claw as well. However, that didn't stop Big Nipper from entering a pushing war with Razor and holding its own. But determination can only get you so far, and Razor pushed Big Nipper into shunt. 2 axed Big Nipper repeatedly. So that killed Big Nipper. It was counted out, and Big Nipper's team were applauded. They received high praise as well. Not bad, considering it was the first fight. It was 2 series before Big Nipper returned with a better lifter and a crab mascot. In Series 7 they found home in Heat B and drew Horizontal Crusher Can Opener and 2 flippers in the Grim Reaper and Barbaric Response. Big Nipper was out of focus early on, but had been targeted by Barbaric Response and flipped. That is, until Can Opener came along and grabbed Barbaric Response, allowing Big Nipper to get away and annoy the Grim Reaper. So Big Nipper got flipped. However, it did manage to get one claw underneath the Grim Reaper's flipper, lodging it open and allowing Big Nipper to push the Grim Reaper into a wall. Big Nipper was flipped once it let the Grim Reaper go, though. The 2 stayed well clear of Barbaric Response and Can Opener, still locked in unholy robot matrimony, and engaged in their own duel. Big Nipper grabbed the Grim Reaper and pushed it into a wall, but once free from an angle grinder, dodged Mr. Psycho and Growler before grabbing Barbaric Response. Good idea, Team Titanium. Better to be the bread in a robot sandwich than the filling. As aging reality frequently was. Big Nipper let go pretty quickly so it could annoy the Grim Reaper. All 4 robots ended up close to the pit as it was opened. Big Nipper was the closest to falling in, but it didn't. It got flipped a few times, but it could self-right, and time ran out and the judges recorded. They ruled in favour of Big Nipper and the Grim Reaper. Next up for Big Nipper was horizontal spinner Jackson Wallop. Big Nipper's team were confident as Jackson Wallop's spinner was too high to hit Big Nipper. Big Nipper grabbed Jackson Wallop early on. Once Jackson Wallop got away, it did its best to stay away, doing a passable imitation of a pinball in the process. After colliding with Big Nipper, Jackson Wallop opened the pit by trashing the pit police, the vandal. All Big Nipper could do was watch. Until Jackson Wallop had its own close encounter with the pit. Big Nipper grabbed Jackson Wallop and took it on a guided tour of the arena, but got axed by Shunt in the process. This is what happens when you get too close to Shunt. This time, however, it was not a terminal axe blow. Big Nipper's armour had been improved. When Big Nipper let go of Jackson Wallop, a tyre came off, leaving Jackson Wallop in a lot of trouble and its team in need of a new plan, ASAHP, as soon as humanly possible. Tactics, however, are no good if your robot is being attacked by two house robots at the same time. Once Jackson Wallop was released, Big Nipper grabbed Jackson Wallop and pushed it into a corner. Shrint and Dead Metal went after Jackson Wallop. Jackson Wallop only got out when Dead Metal pitted it. So that got Big Nipper through to the heat final, where it faced the Grim Reaper again. After both robots struggled to find an opening, Big Nipper pushed the Grim Reaper into a corner and carried the flipper across the arena. Once the Grim Reaper was free, it flipped Big Nipper a few times, getting the grabber into and out of a corner in the process. Big Nipper also managed to get lodged in the Grim Reaper's flipper, but once free, got flipped a few more times, until Big Nipper finally got away and pushed the Grim Reaper into a corner. They managed to get the Grim Reaper balanced on a side panel, but the Grim Reaper flipped its way out of trouble, and both robots got penned in by Sergeant Bash. Big Nipper was the first one to get free, and it sent the Grim Reaper right back to Sergeant Bash. The Grim Reaper did not stay there long this time, though, and left to chase Big Nipper. As time ran out, the Grim Reaper missed a flip, and Big Nipper shoved the flipper into a wall. So the judges were called in. They ruled in favour of the Grim Reaper. So, it's time to fast forward to Series 8, 12 years later. Big Nipper landed in Heat C, and in between Series 7 and 8, in those 12 years, had won the UK Championships twice in 2007 and 2012, and got an honourable mention in the Hall of Fame for combat robots, partly because of its unique weaponry. Going into Series 8, Big Nipper had also brought a new weapon along, a vertical spinner. It still had the claws, and these weapons were now interchangeable. They drew horizontal spinner Supernova and two flippers again in TR2 and Orte. TR2 also had an axe. For this fight, Big Nipper brought out the spinner. They also gave themselves an 11 out of 10 chance of winning. Big Nipper targeted Orte early on, but Supernova took out Orte very quickly. So Big Nipper targeted Supernova and got a couple of weapon-to-weapon hits in before trying to open the pit. TR2 succeeded in opening the pit, and Big Nipper hit Supernova again. Not long afterwards, Big Nipper nearly pitted itself, and TR2 tried to pit Supernova. After that, TR2 actually pitted Supernova, and Big Nipper got through to the round robin stages. First up was TR2. For this fight, Big Nipper brought out the claws. Big Nipper had a hard time getting a grip on TR2 and got flipped fairly quickly. So, Big Nipper tried to run off to the pit release, but TR2 caught them before they could open the pit and flipped Big Nipper into Dead Metal's corner. Big Nipper tried to escape, but TR2 made sure they stayed there. Big Nipper got out eventually, though. TR2 tried to send Big Nipper to Matilda, but this didn't work. A chase ensued, during which the pit was open. Alas, Big Nipper dangled too close over the pit of oblivion, and TR2 shoved them in. Next up was Spiked Rammer King Bee Remix, and the disc was brought out. The plan? To make sure King Bee Remix went home in a bin bag. King Bee Remix opened the pit before going over to Big Nipper, receiving a flurry of hits before the two bots separated. Big Nipper got stuck on an arena spike, which very nearly proved to be costly. King Bee Remix took the opportunity to try and pit them. But Big Nipper got away and went on the attack, though King Bee Remix's slipperiness left Big Nipper trying to attack Dead Metal. Oops. Still, Big Nipper was causing damage, even when King Bee Remix was pushing Big Nipper into a house robot free corner. Big Nipper's attacks were enough to stop King Bee Remix from pushing, or doing anything for that matter. So Big Nipper's win was greeted with a chant from the crowd of "You're going home in a bin bag," referencing what they said ahead of the fight, presumably. Though no bin bags were necessary this time. They merely took out the link. Next up was Flipper Dan Tom Kia in a fight Big Nipper needed to win by any means possible to make the heat final. They stuck with the spinner for this fight. The battle did not get off to a good start, as after trying to flip Big Nipper, Dan Tom Kia sent Big Nipper to Secure-Lot. Big Nipper got out, but Dan Tom Kia flipped them. Luckily, Big Nipper could self-right, but that just got them in peril again, because Secure-Lot picked them up. And that's not good. Once dropped, Big Nipper got away and tried to attack Dan Tom Kia, but that just led to Dan Tom Kia shoving Big Nipper back into Secure-Lot's corner. Big Nipper got out, only to get sent straight back when Secure-Lot got his lance stuck in a wall. So, no more worrying about having to deal with Secure-Lot. Instead, Big Nipper got flipped and sent to Dead Metal. So, once again, Big Nipper escaped, but got sent straight back to Dead Metal. Big Nipper escaped again, but got sent back there. But got sent back. Once time ran out, Big Nipper was pushing, being pushed. Though it did take a chunk out of Dan Tom Kia, so the judges ruled in favour of Dan Tom Kia, so that meant Big Nipper were out. 11 out of 10. Oh dear, oh dear. Big Nipper were reserving Series 9. Ultimately, they never got used as in the competition, but returned for Series 10. Its Series 10 run, however, got off to the worst start possible when the draw was made. They landed in Heat B, Series 10's Heat of Death, and drawn Massive Thwackbot Gabriel 2 and Horizontal Bar Spinner Carbide. As in Carbide, the defending champions. Also in that heat was Flipper Eruption, second place in Series 9, and Vertical Spinner Aftershock, fourth place in Series 9. How on earth is one supposed to get out of a heat like that with even an outside chance of making the grand final? Here we go. Big Nipper was the last robot to enter the fray in its first fight. It hadn't moved far when the robot Gabriel 2 hit Big Nipper with its mix, doing a number on Big Nipper's movement. All Big Nipper could really do after that was crab walk, and the other robots kept clear of them. Big Nipper did hit Gabriel 2, but after Gabriel 2 sent Shunt on a rampage, Gabriel 2 hit Big Nipper again and basically killed it. So Big Nipper was counted out a minute in the fight and could only watch as Carbide and Gabriel 2 fought. And Gabriel 2 more than held its own. It actually took out half of Carbide's right tyre, but its wheels were messed up in the process. Big Nipper was a non-factor in the judge's decision that resulted from the fight, because it's hard to kill Gabriel. And the decision was won by Carbide. So, it was robot redemption time for Big Nipper. There they faced Lifter, Spinnerbot, Clusterbot, Crackers and Smash, who'd brought Entanglement TNTI to the party. Gabriel too had brought an entanglement device to the party as well. Big Nipper hit Smash first. Smash had no entanglement devices and a drum spinner. Before hitting Crackers, which had a lifter and entanglement in antennae, the hit removed one of the entanglement arms. Big Nipper then hit Smash again before removing Crackers' remaining entanglement antennae. Big Nipper then turned its attention to Smash. Well, after sending Crackers to Sir Killot, who sat on Crackers. Big Nipper, whilst facing Smash, hit Smash repeatedly until they hit Smash so hard they took out an arena light. Smash, that is. But hit the lights. I mean, you hear about the term hit the lights. I don't think it's meant like that. That light probably went home in a bin bag. Big Nipper took the scenic route to get to Crackers via the floor flipper and shunt. Not a good route, not one I'd recommend, but hit Crackers until it was stuck on the flame pit. So, via flame grilling and hitting a robot out the ring, Big Nipper got through. Next up was Flipper Eruption. Big Nipper was the robot being chased at the start of the fight, as it did not like flippers at all. Big Nipper still got flipped repeatedly. So Big Nipper ran into Matilda and got flipped again. So Big Nipper got out and unleashed the Fog of War, because that always helps. Eruption ended up flipping itself whilst trying to flip Big Nipper, which ended up in Matilda's corner again. It got away and a chase ensued, but Big Nipper got flipped again. Cue more chasing. Big Nipper got a hit in, but it got flipped. Eruption did manage to flip itself, and Big Nipper took the opportunity to shove Eruption into a corner, or a wall specifically. Eruption then flipped Big Nipper. Cue more chasing, punctuated by flips. As time ran out and the judges were called in, Big Nipper had just escaped Matilda. The judges ruled in favour of Eruption. There was still the playoffs, where they faced Vertical Spinner Aftershock. Big Nipper got hit in early on before the two robots traded blows. After a brief separation, a collision caused Big Nipper and Aftershock to end up in diagonally opposite corners. Happily, neither corner had house robots in. The two robots came right back for more, Big Nipper nearly taking Aftershock out in a flurry of hits. 2 hits later, though, it landed the fatal blow. So, mission seemingly impossible completed. Big Nipper made it through to the 10-way rumble despite the presence of 3 grand finalists. That is the dictionary definition of a result, considering the circumstances. Or at least it should be the dictionary definition of a result. Anyway, anyone for chaos? In the 10-way rumble, Big Nipper faced 2 Axbots, Thor and Terahertz, Drum Spinners, Concussion and Sabretooth, 3 Flippers, Iron Ore 6, Eruption and Apollo, Angled Spinner, Expulsion, and Tracked Crusher Traction, and its cardboard Aftershock decoration. Big Nipper brought out the claws for this fight and all fights thereafter. They'd gone for the Vertical Spinner in their heat. They went for Apollo early on before annoying traction. The pit was opened and expulsion went in. Eruption did not go in that pit. Big Nipper went after Apollo, Sabretooth hit Big Nipper repeatedly. Then Iron Ore 6 unleashed the Fog of War. Traction got pitted by Thor. Concussion unleashed the Fog of War before Big Nipper tried to annoy the Flippers. This ended up with them getting flipped by Eruption and Killlot getting sent on a rampage. Big Nipper annoyed Apollo after more Fog of War, and Iron Ore was pitted. Concussion followed. So Big Nipper elected to annoy Thor, only to get pushed around by Sabretooth. Once free, Big Nipper went after Eruption, landing both robots in with Sir Killlot. Big Nipper escaped, and Sabretooth went in, Thor following in an attempt to pit Big Nipper. Whilst Sir Killlot was holding Terahertz aloft in a bid to do something to it, Big Nipper went quietly into the pit, landing on Traction's cardboard aftershock decoration. Oops. Next up for Big Nipper was the World Series, where Big Nipper was in a tag team with Eruption. Doesn't always do tag team, but when it does, it teams up with a champ. They took on Russian Flipper Weber and Dutch Grabber the Barash. Big Nipper wasn't out first, and a flipping battle between Weber and Eruption ensued. After Weber tagged the Barash, Big Nipper got tagged and annoyed an already upside down the Barash. Eruption flipped them. Big Nipper sent the Barash to dead metal, pursued by Weber. Big Nipper took Weber on the tour of the arena before tagging Eruption, who set dead metal on Weber. They then freed dead metal. Big Nipper then rocked up. Who needs rules? And Eruption flipped Weber one last time before annoying dead metal. So they win. Next up was Canadian horizontal spinner Teraturtle, and Big Nipper fighting solo this time. Big Nipper grabbed Teraturtle early on and pushed it towards Matilda. However, Matilda's attack was mistimed. It hit Big Nipper and it caught fire. Teraturtle, meanwhile, got hit until it ended up on its side. Though it was righted, the damage had already been done by either Matilda's attack or Big Nipper's attack. Teraturtle was dead. So, Big Nipper on fire? No problem. But that was Big Nipper's last fight. By all accounts, it is now retired. A tough robot and a double UK champion on the live circuit, it could be argued that Big Nipper underperformed on TV. It didn't do badly making a heat final and making the 10-way, and any robot that manages to earn the respect of Razor's team after its first fight gets points. And they do get points for making the 10-way despite being in the heat of death. I'll forgive them for beating a robot I like in the process. So, this Lancastrian human says, Big Nipper, you did well. Who's next? Could be a robot from anywhere. But it's this one. I wonder what it is. Always ready to be surprised. It's Shockwave from Extreme 1. We've already talked about the other one. Until next week, Calison244, out.